Hello and welcome to the mini course Ultimate Linux Command Line Walkthrough. So, first of all, welcome. I'm glad that you are here, and this is Lior Avitar. I will guide the course, and let's talk a little bit about Linux. So, what is Linux? Linux is an operating system that is both open source and popular in the IT industry, and it's used in many instances where you need mostly a server operating system, something that will hold the website or something that will process large amounts of data, and something that you can count on when you're creating your computing environment. And this leads to the question, because this is a command line walkthrough course, what is a command line? Well, Linux is a system which you can communicate with and call commands using text symbols that are called commands. So you basically have a black window or white window, whatever your preference may be, with text in it, and this will send the operating system a command to execute, an operation to perform, something useful that you can do using your computer. So why use then a command line? Because today we have point and click interfaces. Well, in server environments, most of the times you don't have the point and click interfaces, and you can do things that are more sophisticated using the command line. For example, scripts that will search certain kinds of data, and then they create a class hierarchy of folders and put the information in the right folder or something like this, or a big server which converts from one format of video to another format of video. For example, when you're uploading a YouTube video, to YouTube, there's a script behind the scenes that is taking the video from your format and it converts it to YouTube's format. So these are really important uses of the command line. And so who uses the command line? Well, 99% of the Linux power users, and I mean professional users in the IT industry, are using the command line daily. I mean on a daily basis, because it's easy to see into the system when you're using the command line, because the system, you can master it only once you master the command line. So this brings us to what commands we learn. We're going to learn a lot of useful commands. For example, commands for creating directories, commands for navigating directories, commands for searching for files and directories, and basically a lot of useful commands that will enable you to interact with any Unix or Linux or Unix-like system via the command line and be productive as usual. So the next question is where you can learn more. So if you like this course and you want to learn more, you can go to our website lioravital.com or view on our Udemy profile, and we have a lot of courses for you. And we have the Ultimate Linux Certificate course, which is the most comprehensive Linux course made in the last few years. So check it out and let's begin. Alright, so we're beginning our course, and I wanted to make sure that everyone have a Linux operating system instance. So what I'm going to do in this lecture is installing Ubuntu Linux on a VirtualBox virtual machines. So we have VirtualBox, and you can just Google VirtualBox in Google and just get to the download link, download it, and press next, 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 and you have VirtualBox installed. I believe that it's one of the easiest products to install. And next you need to go to a mirror or search Ubuntu CD download and get this file, which is, as you can see here, it's Ubuntu 19.4 desktop AMD64.iso. ISO files are CD images. Alright, I don't want to confuse you with unnecessary tech talk, but this file is the file from which you can burn or create an installation image or CD or a DVD file. So next we are in the Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager, and here I press new for creating a new machine, and I will name it Ubuntu command line. Here on the version I choose Ubuntu 64. Alright, and then I press next. Here it asks us how much RAM memory, alright, random access memory, do we need to allocate to the machine. Since I have plenty of memory on my machine, I will choose about 4 gigs. If you have less memory, you can choose 2 gigs or 1 gig. You don't have to put a lot of RAM here. Since I have 32 gigs of RAM memory, I can allocate 4 gigs happily and not worry about it. And now I will create a virtual hard disk now with 10 gigabyte of memory. I will choose the VirtualBox disk image format, and I will do it fixed size. This means that it's allocating all the 10 gigabytes on the spot. The reason I'm choosing it's because of better performance, and it will allocate all the disk for now, the virtual hard drive, but it's really better, I think, in the long term and in the short term. And I do next, and then it asks me where do I want to save this image. I leave it in the default location and I press create. Now it's going to allocate this virtual image of the hard disk, and don't worry, it's going to take a short while. If you have SSD hard drive on your system, it's easier and faster. It's going to take like a minute or two. And if you have older hard drive, like mechanical hard drive, don't worry, it will also not going to take a lot of time. But mainly on an SSD hard drive, it's much faster than on a regular mechanical hard drive. So don't worry, this will take a few seconds, and after this we'll start the installation itself from the Ubuntu image, and we'll put all the necessary programs in order to have a simple basic environment for running our commands. And basically we just need a terminal. We need the bare bones machine with terminal and That's will do for this course. So here we have this machine created. I'm going to the display part. I like to add more display memory because I find it easier and faster to run. And I'm going to the storage section, and here this is the CD controller. I choose virtual optical disk file, which is mainly my Ubuntu image, CD image, and I chose this, and alright, so we have some kind of an issue here. And basically it's an issue with my operating system. I have Windows 10 Home Edition and it doesn't like it, so we'll have to use the 32 bits OS system. So I need to download a new image, so it will going to take a while. I'll pause the video for now. Alright guys, so I managed to solve this issue by restarting my computer, going to the BIOS and enabling the Intel virtualization technology. So we have Ubuntu 64 bits, and I do OK, and we have all this memory. Also we have everything right, and let's see, we have the Ubuntu image, and now I just need to start the machine by pressing start, and now it's going to start a virtual machine, as you can see here, and I press enter and I press install Ubuntu. Again, if this is the first time that you're installing Linux, then just follow my instructions and you'll be okay. So I go to install Ubuntu, as you can see here, and press enter. And because the machine is running, I know that the settings change that I've made was okay, and that VirtualBox is running with all the virtualization capabilities of the hardware. And it's going to take a few seconds, up to a minute or two, until the installation environment is up and running. Again, if you have fast processor and a lot of RAM and a fast hard drive like SSD drive, then it's going to be okay, and it's going to run really fast. Again, it's up to 1 minute or 2 minutes to start up. In our case, it's around, I guess, 1 minute it took it. So let's see. For the language, I use English. I like my system in English. And now we're going to continue to the next screen. I press continue. Here we choose our keyboard layout. If you stay with English US, it's okay. You're set. You can also choose your own language, but I strongly suggest install the system in English and then add your own native language later as a keyboard layout. So continue. And now we want a normal installation with web browser, utilities, office software, games and media players. And also I add the install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi and media formats, just to have a useful little desktop that you can use anytime that you need a Linux machine. And I press continue. And the next steps are mainly the time zone and the hard drive selection, the file system allocation, and the file system installation. Again, it's going to take a few whiles. Ubuntu is one of the most popular, if not the most popular, desktop Linux operating systems, and for a good reason, because it's easy to install. So I'm choosing Erase Disk and install Ubuntu, and this will use the entire virtual hard drive, and I do install now because I don't need to customize it. It's okay for me. And now you can sit back, press continue, but basically you can sit back and let the installer, here is the time zone choosing, which is Jerusalem for me. I press continue, and now you can enter your username. I'll enter my name, and I pick a password that I can remember. And I'll continue. Now you can go grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee, as this is mainly a matter of minutes or seconds. To be on the fair side, I will pause the video, and when it will finish, we'll go back to the installation. Alright, I grabbed myself a cup of tea, and now as you can see, it's almost near the end of the installation. One thing worth mentioning, that this is a virtual machine. So if you want to run something that is intensive, compute wise or memory wise, or hard disk usage or something like this, you'll have some kind of an overhead. It won't be as fast as a local installation, native installation on the machine, which you can do just like how we install the virtual machine. It's the same process, but the main difference is that you're doing it on some kind of a machine, a computer, a laptop, or a desktop computer. And basically, Linux is fast enough to run in a VM. Many applications and cloud providers are running Linux on the VM. But again, a VM on a desktop may be some kind of limited via resources, so make sure that you allocate enough RAM memory, random access memory, and make sure that the machine is not overused, and it's not that you're not using all of its resources, because again there is some overhead when running virtual machine. So I'll pause the video for another 5 minutes to make sure that the installation is finished. Okay, now the installation is complete, so now I need to restart the virtual machine by pressing restart now, and it will start the VM again. In this time it will boot from the virtual hard drive, from the virtual hard disk of this VM, and we won't install Ubuntu, we're just going to use it. So it's going to take a few seconds for the restart to perform, and it says please remove the installation medium. So I'll go to the optical drives, and I don't have the option to remove it, so I'll go and press enter, and I'll go to the optical drives, Alright, I don't have the option to remove it right now. So I will do boot from the hard disk. I won't enter into the Ubuntu installation live CD. I will choose run from desktop, and I basically think that right now we're booting from the desktop, so never mind, because the priority of this booting from desktop is higher than the priority of booting from the CD. So here is our operating system, and I enter my password. And now it's going to boot and start the desktop. Right now it's safe to say that we have a Linux installation useful in hand, and we can just start using it. So I'll choose don't send system info, next. I don't like these things, and done. So this is the Ubuntu desktop. Also, I can go to the display settings for now and try to enlarge this screen. I'll do it in the native size of my display. Here it is. It's went to the other screen, and we can do full screen mode, and here we have a full-blown Ubuntu installation for our use, and nobody knows that this is only a VM. For starting the terminal, I press the window button for opening the menu, and I'll start typing terminal, and I open the terminal itself. Again, this is the command line interface, and I do add to favorites. This is the command line interface which we'll use throughout the course, and it's really powerful and easy to use way to access the system. So let's see you on the other video. Alright guys, and we are in the first command of our course, which is the ls command. Alright, ls is for list. It's shortcut for list. And the format of the command is ls option, then a list of file templates. So let's see in the terminal how to use the command. So we see we're in the Linux machine and we're in the terminal, and let's start with our first command, ls. So I just type ls and enter. And as you can see, we have desktop, downloads, documents, music, picture, public, videos, and templates. So what are those? So these are, if I open my home directory, which is the current location of the terminal, these are the folders, the various folders of my machine, of my location, of my home directory. For example, if I create a new folder and I call it ls samples, alright, and I do ls once again, I will have this folder ls samples. And if I create a new text file, alright, I'll go to my menu and I'll do text editor. Alright, this is a text editor like Notepad, and I will just write file example and I save it in my home folder. Alright, this is untitled right now. Let's rename it to file example. And when I run ls once again, I see that the file example is present and it's white. So this means that files are shown in white color and folders, directories are shown in blue color. So this is one of the most useful commands, and I want to show you a quick example. So if we do cd to the user directory, again, I'll explain the cd command in its own video. Let's do ls here. We have many kinds of folders here, and if I do ls and then I'll press lib and an asterisk, what do you think will be the result? Well, as you can see in the contents of this folder, there are a lot of directories that start with lib for libraries. So when I run ls and lib star, I will have only the directories and files that contains the word, the beginning of lib. So as you can see, it's also showing the folder themselves, and also it's showing the content of the folders themselves. So this is something useful. And for more information regarding ls, we can do ls minus help, h for help, and now it's not working. So let's do. Alright, the main command for getting more information is called man for manual. So we'll just type man ls, and here we have all the options for this command. As you can see, ls is the list directory contents, and for example we can do, for example, -d. So if we go to the previous example and add -d, alright, it's important the case, this is case sensitive, so capital D and small capital D, lowercase d, it's important. Alright, so lowercase d and then lib will get only the directories without their content. So this is a way we can manipulate the expected result. And for example, we can do also let's see. As you can see, there are a lot of options. Then we can do, for example, minus small lowercase r. So we can either do -r or we can add it to the d flag. So we'll add it to the d flag. And as you can see, this is sorted. The results are sorted in a reverse manner. It starts from libx32 instead of ending with libx32. So this is the previous result, only reversed, starting from the previous last result. So this is the ls command. Again, if you have any question regarding them, you can ask us using a message, and let's go to the next command. And welcome to the second chapter, the second video, the second command in our course, the cp command. So cp is the copy command, and it's used to copy files and directories, and it's mainly an easy command which can be very flexible and give you advanced results. So the format is just cp, then an option, then a source, then a directory. It means that I take a file from the desktop and put it to the documents folder, for example. So this is a very important command. So let's start and go to the cp command. So now we are in our Linux machine, and the issue is that our terminal isn't empty. So there's a special command called clear that if we enter it and press enter, it will clean up the terminal and we have a brand new window for our use. So we're interested in the cp command. So let's go to the home folder. Then I do cd and then tilde, and this gets out to the home folder. If we do ls, we see all these files from our home folder. So here we can go and grab the file example, and we do cp file, and here I will use a shortcut key. I'll press the tab key and it will complete the entire file name. And let's say we want to see it on the desk, and tab top. So we'll move the file from the home directory to the desktop directory. We won't move it, we'll copy it. So we'll do enter, and here we can see on the desktop that we have this file already. This means that we can use this file in the desktop as well. And if we'll use our knowledge from the previous chapter and we do ls -d desktop, we'll see that we have the desktop folder. And if we do ls desktop, we'll see that we have one file called file example. So this is the cp command, and now we'll see how we can copy an entire content of a directory from one folder to a second folder. So I'll go to the desktop in my terminal and I'll do cp file example into file 1.txt, file 2.txt, file 3.txt. Actually, what I'm doing now, I'm creating 3 copies of the same file. Alright, so this won't work. So we'll start with file 1 and we'll add file 2, and last and not least file 3. So right now we have 4 files on the desktop. As you can see, file example, file 1, file 3, file 2. And what we're going to do, we're going to do cd ... to get back to the home directory. And we want to copy all of those files into the documents folder. So we'll do cp -r for recursive, desktop, asterisk. This will choose any of the files from the desktop. Into, we'll copy it into the documents folder. Alright, so we copied the folder's content of the desktop folder into the documents folder. So let's use ls to see what we have in the documents folder. and we have 4 files as expected. So let's see also in the graphical user interface in the file browser, we see all the files were copied successfully. So -r, it's the recursive copy. Copy the content of a directory. So this will copy everything under the desktop document folder into the documents folder. So this is the cp command. Again, you can use it to copy directories in entirety into another directory. For example, if we do cp -r desktop and documents, what this will do, this will create a copy of the desktop folder inside of documents. As you can see, we have the copy with the files inside. So cp -r, it's the equivalent of copying a directory into another directory. So this is all with this cp command. Hello and welcome to the third command number 3 in our short course, the makedir command. Makedir or mkdir command is used to create directories or folders. So we can see that make directories, it's the shortcut mkdir, and the command specification is makedir, then an options, and then the directory that we want to create. So let's jump to the Ubuntu terminal and see how we use makedir. Again, we have the use terminal here. We'll type clear and enter, and we have a brand new terminal. So let's assume that I'm in the desktop folder right now. Let's create a directory and we'll call it simply first. As you can see, the directory was created on the desktop with the name first. Let's assume that we want to create 2 more directories, second, and inside of this directory we have another directory called third. So we'll create a directory 3. So for doing this, we'll do makedir -p for path. Then we'll enter the second, and then we'll enter third, and press enter. So we can see that the second directory was created, and inside of it we have the third directory. So we have the whole path, desktop, second, third. So this command is very useful when you need to create new directories using your scripts or using the terminal in general sense. And what we can do, later I can show you the move command for moving files into directories. So this is very useful command. So let's see you on the other commands. Guys, we're in command number 4, and this command is the cd command. Cd command is used to move between directories or change the shell working directory. So we're changing the current directory that we are working on, and as you can see there are 2 options, either -l or either -p, and then the directory that we want to change to. So let's go to the terminal and try things out. So we're in the terminal right now, and let's clear the terminal, and we're in the desktop folder. As you can see, this is the path that we're currently in, tilde or home/desktop. So we're in the desktop folder, and here I want to go to the first folder. So I do cd fir, and I let the tab to complete to first. So it completed. I press enter and I'm in the first directory. If I want to go back to the desktop directory, I need to do cd and then that dot and dot, 2 dots in a row. This means the previous folder in the tree, the parent folder in the tree. So we're doing this and we're going back to the desktop folder. And for example, we can go to second and ls to see what we have in second. We have third. We can go to third and ls and it's an empty folder. And we can also press up key until we get the cd dot dot command and go back. So for example, we have the manual for cd. Alright, so we don't have a manual for cd. Since it's such a simple command, we don't have the manual. Let's try to see if there is help. Alright, so we have these options, cd -l and cd -p, and then the directory. So let's do cd -l and do this kind of regular expression for the directory, and it's completed to the second/third directory. So right now we managed to go 2 directories deep using an expression. So this is the cd command. Hi guys, we are midway through the course, the mini course. We're in the 5th command, which is the rm command. Rm is used to delete files or directories. So the options are very simple. It's rm, then an option, then a list of files or directories. And let's see it in action in the terminal. So we're back in the terminal and let's do clear. And I'll press cd without any arguments to go to the home directory. This is a shortcut for you to know, which I didn't mention in the previous video, but it's a useful shortcut you can use. So right now we're in the home directory, and if we do an ls, we see the various folder, and we do cd to desktop. And let's remove the first file that we put in, file example. So we'll do rm, then file example, and we'll press enter. So this command has successfully removed the file example. If we do ls, we don't see the file anymore. And so what about folders? We removed the file, but how can we remove a folder? For removing a folder, we'll use the recursive flag. So we do rm -r and then first. This will remove the folder first in its entirety. For example, if there are any files or any directories inside of first, they will get removed too. So we'll run it, and it was removed. And for example, I'm going to copy file 1 into second, third. So if we list the second, third directory, we have a file. So this means, let me show you, it's in the file browser. So you'll get a graphical representation of the situation. We have the second folder with a third folder inside, which this folder is containing a text file. So if we remove -r, the second folder, it automatically goes into the third folder, removes all the subfiles in the third folder, and then removes the third folder and the second folders entirely. So this is the remove command, which is very useful in deleting files. And let's do another more advanced example. We'll remove all the files that start with file and then end with txt. And if I enter here, now all the text files that we had before got deleted. So this is another example of remove. Again, please use it sensibly, as the sayings, with great power comes great responsibility. So this is our video for now, and we'll meet you in the 6th command. And welcome to the 7th command in our mini course Linux command line workflow. The command that we learned now is the grep command. This command is used for printing lines that match a certain pattern inside of a text file. So for this we'll need a text file of some kind. So let's go to the Ubuntu machine and use a text file. So here I'm in the browser, the Firefox browser in my test machine. Then I will write lorem ipsum generator. This is kind of a funny, or not funny, it's kind of a standard text that is used when we're designing a website, or we just need like this sample text for generating a file that we'll use. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs, and we'll copy those paragraphs and we'll create a text file using the text editor, and we'll paste all the text that I've copied, and I'll save it as lorem ipsum.txt, and I will save it in the desktop. Alright, so right now what we're going to do, we're going to the terminal and we're typing grep lorem and the file lorem ipsum.txt. So as you can see, this shows us that the keyword lorem was matched 3 times in the all 7 paragraphs that we have in the text file. So this is very important. For example, when you're searching a log file for a program that had crashed, for example, the program, I don't know, Apache web server crashed, and you want to see what is the cause of the error. So you grep error in this file, in this log file, and then you'll get all this input and output. So if we go to the folder, the file system folder varlog, alright, we can't go there, so let me change into the root user. So let's go to the system logs folder, and here we can see various logs, for example the kernel log and the system log. And if we search grep error in all of the files here, we can see that in the syslog we have an error that the handler returned error code, for example. And if we go up there, we can see that we have quite a lot of errors, but these are not critical errors because nothing crashed yet. But we can see that even in a stable system, a system that is running as it should run, we have errors and problems and issues, and the grep command enables us to search for certain texts, for example errors, and this error code will enable us to debug and to see a better way to solve the problem. So let's try the manual for grep, and let's see how can we count the number of errors. So if we see if we use -c, we will see the count of the errors. So I'm doing grep -c error asterisk, I mean search all folders and files, and we have 62 errors in the syslog. We have 1 error in the kernel log, and we have no errors in the other folders and files. So as you can see, this is a very useful command which can be used for debugging system problems. Hello and welcome to command number 8 in our command line walkthrough mini course, and this command is cat, C-A-T, like cat, but it's pronounced cat. So this command, it's concatenate files and print on the standard output. So we can just combine the input of several files and print them on the terminal screen, and we can use options and several files. So we'll move right now to the Linux machine and try a very simple example of cat. So here we are at the terminal at the Linux machine. Let's open the terminal and let's go to the desktop folder. Here we have the file lorem-ipsum.txt. So what we can do, we can press cat and lo and let the tab key complete the file name lorem-ipsum, and we'll press enter. As you can see, the entire contents of the text file is now filling the terminal screen. So we have all the contents of this file here, and let's try to do more advanced example. We'll copy the lorem-ipsum file into lorem-ipsum2.txt file. As we see, we have 2 lorem-ipsum files, and I will edit the second lorem-ipsum file, and I will write here your second file and your avital.com. So this is the second file, and I'll copy this text for a few good lines. So we have this text repeating itself, and let's try to concatenate both of the files. So I will do cat lorem and a star, and in this case we got both of the files concatenated. So here we have the second file, and it's apparently took only the second file. So we'll take lorem ipsum.txt and lorem ipsum2.txt. Let's clear the terminal and run it again. And as you can see, the second file starts after the output of the first file, and this is very useful. And another way this is useful is when we want to see some kind of log files and we want to see their contents. So we'll use cat and we'll enter the log name, for example. So this is very useful command, and you can try using it whenever you have a text file that you want to see the content of on the terminal. So this was cat, and let's go to the next command. Hello and welcome to the 9th chapter in our command line walkthrough mini course, and this command that we'll talk about is the sudo command. Well, it's a very useful command when you want to execute some kind of a command as a user with more privileges. For example, the root user. So let me explain you the concept of users real quick. On a Linux machine there are several users. There is no a single user like on a Windows machine. There are actually several users. One is root, which is the super user. This is the all powered admin that we can do anything that is want to the system, including deleting system files, which isn't good. And we have the regular users. For example, my users is Lior, L-I-O-R, and your user will be, I guess, by your name. So John, Kate, Ashley, and your own user. So this is useful as we want to execute commands as the root user. So let's go and I'll show you it really quickly. So here we are at the terminal and we have this text. So let's clear the terminal. So we'll have a clear terminal screen. And let's try to go to var log. And here we have several files. Let's try to create a directory and we'll call it Lior Avital as my name. And let's just fix the typo and make dir. And it says make dir cannot create directory Lior Avital, permission denied. Why is that happening? Because my user Lior doesn't have the privileges, the permissions to create a directory in the var log folder. So what can we do about it? We can write sudo -i and type our password, and then we're getting transformed into the root user. So if I enter in who am I, this command will show me that I am the root user. So using sudo I managed to become the root user. And now if I make dir Lior Avital directory, it will create it. And if I want to remove it, it will also remove it. But please notice another thing. Right now I'm in the root home folder. To go to the var directories and the log folder inside of it, we need to cd once again. So here we are at the var log folder, and let's create this folder and we'll list it. As you can see, we have the folder Lior Avital in the var log file system. And if I press exit and who am I, then I'm Lior, my regular user. So sudo enables us to log in into different users, and most importantly the root super user, and we can also use it without changing the user. For example, sudo, and we do rm -fr. F is for forcefully, R is for recursively, remove Lior Avital. So when I run it, and then I run ls, I can see that the directory was removed, but I didn't change my user. So I managed to perform a more privileged operation that is above the permissions of my user, because my user can become sudo as root. Alright, so we can perform operations as the super user sudo. So this is the end of this lesson, and let's see you again at the next lesson. Hi, and welcome to the 10th and the last command in the mini course Linux command line walkthrough. So this command is the df command. The df command is used for getting the free space of a file system or a folder, and it's usually going to be by a file system. So the command is very simple to use, and we can use the command in different units to see how much free space we have in gigabytes, in megabytes, terabytes, and so on. So let's go to the Linux machine for a quick demo. So here I am at my machine, and of course I will clear the terminal and go to the home folder, and I'll type df. As we can see, we have several devices of hard disks, hard drives in the system. The most important things is this line dev sda1, which is our root directory. In our root directory we have all the files and folders, and the operating system reside there, and the applications reside there, and everything that we are using. So we have this kind of report, which is not very useful. So let's do man df, and here we can see that we have various options, and we can see that we have block size options here. The block size option enables us to choose a different different file system size limit by using, for example, block size equals G. We can use gigabytes. So here we can see that all the file systems are reported in gigabytes, and here we have at the dev sda1, our root folder, we have 10 gigabytes, and we have used 6 gigabytes, and we have left 4 gigabytes. So we have 65% of the folder full, and this means that we can use up to 4 gigabytes. If we'll enter M as for megabytes, we'll have it in megabytes, which is a little bit more finely tuned, and actually we have 3 gigabytes and 400 megabytes free left. So it's without truncation like we had in the gigabytes size. So this is one of the most useful commands when you're trying to debug why a server isn't working, why a Linux server is crashed. And if we'll get 100% usage, then this means that the file system is full and we need to delete files in order to, or enlarge the disk drive in order for it to work properly. So thank you for joining us on this course. Well, thank you. This concludes our course, but again, I know that now that you know more about the Linux command line, you wish you knew even more. So if you want to know more, you can join us today for the Linux Mastery Certificate course at lioravital.com. We'll have a special link with a special discount for you here in this video. And again, you can join us at any time and preferably today, right now, to the full Linux Mastery Certificate course. In the Linux Mastery Certificate course, we have more advanced topics, for example, installation and advanced installations of Linux. We have the command line explained thoroughly with way more commands that we covered in this course. We have the job systems, we have installing packages and software from the repository, we have installing software from source code, and again, these are a lot of topics which I don't want to bomb you with these words, but I want to stress that it's a comprehensive training for you. So thank you for joining us and join today to the whole course. Thank you.